Hello YouTube, Mr. Magz here, and there's an issue I've been having with Pokemon for some time now, and it really came to a head today when the Pokemon Company released a new trailer for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And just a side note for a second, I'm so glad we're actually getting new info on these games, since it took them like 3 months to tell us anything about it. But, so yeah, I'm glad we're actually getting new information on this game now. So, back on topic. In this new trailer, it showed that there's going to be new Pokemon added to the Alolan Pokédex, and I was really excited for that. That's what I wanted from this game. That's one of the bare minimum things I wanted from this game. Just have new Pokemon in the regular Pokédex. And one of those Pokemon is Larvesta, a Pokemon I've never trained before. I don't think I've ever had one on my team ever. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Larvesta would be kind of cool to train. I'm using Primarina as my starter, so a good fire type wouldn't be half bad. And fire and bug is actually a pretty good combination. Then I stopped and thought about it. I literally cannot use Larvesta because it evolves on level 59. Let me put that into perspective for you. In Generation 5, the generation where Larvesta and Volcarona were introduced, the Elite Four, all of their strongest were on level 50. Getsis got up to level 54, 5 levels below where Volcarona evolves. And to keep putting it into perspective again, the highest level Pokemon that evolved before Larvesta did, level 59, was Dragonite at level 55. And Dragonite's the third stage in a pseudo-legendary line. Which makes sense. Dragonair's a pretty decent Pokemon on its own, so it can hold its own up until level 55 when it evolves into a Dragonite. So that makes sense. The problem with Larvesta is that it only has a 360 base stat total, which, granted, for a first stage, that's not that bad. Even for a standalone Pokemon, that's like pretty average with stuff like, Love Disc and Farfetch. They're around that. They're usually a bit higher, but there are some that even lower that are single stage. So, yeah, 360 is not that bad. It can learn moves like Thrash, Flare Blitz, and Bug Buzz, and having 85 attack and 60 speed, that's not bad for pretty early on in the game. But after you get past the sixth gym in an eight gym structure, it's just not gonna be useful anymore, especially in the Elite Four. Who in their right mind would bring a level 50 Larvesta into the Elite Four with him? It's not going to be useful at all. Even against the Psychic and Dark type Elite Four, it's not going to be able to outspeed most things on their team. And you could say that you could just say, oh, you should just evolve it before you get there, but by that time it's so over leveled that there's just no point. You'll basically be relying on Volcarona in order for you to feel vindicated in doing that. It's just not worth it. And Volcarona is not the only Pokemon that this happens with. There are many Pokemon in Gen 5 alone, mainly in Gen 5 to be honest, that this happens to. And I'm just going to go over a few examples of that now. One example, probably the least egregious example of this, is Tynamo. Tynamo evolves at level 39, and it only knows 4 moves. Now, that is not good at all for Tynamo, and I understand to an extent. They wanted to balance the game a bit because Electros is actually a pretty good Pokemon, and as soon as you evolve Tynamo into Electric, you can evolve it straight away if you wanted to with a Thunderstone. Okay, that's fine. But then you think about stuff like Nidoking. You can get a Nidoking by what, level 20, 21, 22? Nidoking is arguably one of the best Pokemon from Generation One, and you can get it so early in the game. And the way they balanced it is stuff like Nidoking and even Arcanine, who are super powerful but need to evolve through. They don't get they don't get some of the great moves that their pre-evolutions got. Like Nidoking can't get Poison Jab by level up. Arcanine can't get Crunch, Flare Blitz, and stuff like that through level up if you evolve it super early. Now, granted, there are moves that Nidoking can learn that Nidoran can't, and that's fine. But to have Tynamo evolve at level 39 when it can only learn 4 moves is just a bit ridiculous in my book. But like I said, it's not that crazy. I understand why they did it. They didn't want Electros to be super. Um, they didn't want you to be using Electros so early in the game, which I can understand to an extent. One that is I'm less forgiving on is Mienshao. Mienshao evolves at level 50. And you get Mienfoo, I think, at like the 6th, maybe 7th gym in Generation 5. And evolving at level 50, when you can get Conkeldurr, I think level 25? Yeah, because you trade a Girder to get Conkeldurr, and Mienshao isn't that much better than something like Throw or Sock. So to have, who you can get, I think, by the 2nd gem. So to have these Pokemon that are about as good, if not better, than Mienshao, to have these Pokemon available so early on, and then to have Mienshao, you have to level 50 before it has a chance to evolve. That's just a bit ridiculous in my opinion. And this is all with the fact that in Generation 5, they introduced this new mechanic where higher level Pokemon get less experience from fighting lower level Pokemon. Granted, it works the other way too. Like lower level Pokemon get more experience from higher level Pokemon, and it makes it easier to level up kind of early on. But when you're just grinding for levels in Victory Road and whatnot, it gets super hard to level up towards the end. So I don't understand why they chose that generation to introduce all these super high level Pokemon that need to evolve. I don't get it. But Mienshao isn't even the worst offender of this. We got stuff also like Bisharp, who, if I'm not mistaken, you can't get a Poniard until Victory Road. And it evolves on level 52. Why? Why? Why have Bisharp? Why it only has 490 base stat total? Is Bisharp so special that it needs to evolve after you could get a Salamence on the same 2 levels before? Or a Garchomp 4 levels before? Or a Haxorus 5 levels before, I believe. And that's the crazy part about all of this right here. And there's more I'll get into in just a second, but stuff within this generation wasn't this crazy. Crocodile evolves on level 40. Scrafty evolves on level 39. Beartick, I think, 40. Haxorus, 47. And that's the 3rd stage that evolves before Volcarona does, or before Bisharp or Mienshao. It just doesn't make sense at all when there are these Pokemon that are just as strong, if not stronger, evolve way earlier than these Pokemon that are just kind of okay. Now, these next two, I think I'm the most just upset at. Braviary is one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 5. Mandibuzz, I could not care less for that thing. I don't like Mandibuzz. Its design is weird. I don't like how they just decided to make Mandibuzz like the counterpart to Braviary for some reason, making him give 2 special attack EVs just because Braviary gives attack EVs that could have given Mandibuzz defense. That could have also balanced it, but whatever. I don't like Mandibuzz, but I really like Braviary. Why do both of these things evolve at level 54? Can someone explain that to me? 54. is insane for any Pokemon, let alone for a Rufflet, which I don't think you actually get until Victory Road as it is, which I think is kind of crazy for a Rufflet. But it only has 350 base attack. That's not great. That's lower than Larvesta's. So why have Braviary evolve at such a high level? And look, I get it. For Generation 5, since you did get these Pokemon at so late in the game, Victory Road is basically at the end. But there are games that will come after it where you can catch these Pokemon fairly early, like in Gen 6 and Gen 7, you can get a Volibee or a Rufflet depending on the game you have before you leave the first island. And I personally would have loved to train a Braviary in Pokemon Sun, but I couldn't because it evolves on a stupid high level. And I could just get something like a Toucannon that evolves in the 30s. So why would I train a Braviary or a Mandibuzz for that matter when they evolve at such a high level? Even if I could get a Rufflet early on in the game, there's no point in using it. And Braviary, he's good, but he only has 510 base stat total. It's good, but it's not amazing. It's not worth it to level up this thing that far. Especially, higher, like all of these, higher than the Elite Four even is. So then we come to the pseudo legendary of Generation 5. For some for some reason, they decided to make evolve at level 64. 64. Like I said before, Dragonite evolved on level 55. That was the highest before. I think Tyranitar might also be 55, but still, 55 used to be the standard for high levels. And then all of a sudden, Hydreigon evolves at level 54. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part about it is that Dino doesn't evolve into a Xylus until level 50. Why? Every other pseudo legendary, as far as I know, evolves at level 30. Or at least the first stage evolves at level 30. So why all of a sudden make Dino evolve at level 50? I can understand to an extent having Dino evolve at level 30 and then forcing you to work with the Zweilous up until level 64 to make you feel like you actually earned it. But there is no reason to have Zweilous evolve at the same level that you would get a Salamence at level 50. It just doesn't make any sense. And Zweilous isn't even that great. 85 attack, 65 special attack, 58 speed. Its defenses are 70. It's not great. It's good for a second stage, but it's not so good that it's worth training a Dino up to level 50 just to have this thing and then evolve it again at 64. It's not worth. Like I said before, you could just get a Haxorus at level 47, or a Garchomp at 48, or a Salamence at 50 for that matter. So I just don't understand why Game Freak decided to have these Pokemon evolve at stupidly high levels like this. And if it was just an isolated incident, they evolved this high in Generation 5, that's fine. But I don't feel like they thought this through all the way. I don't feel like they thought about the fact that these Pokemon will live on and be able to be caught in later generations. They're unusable in later generations because of just how high they are to evolve. They were unusable in Gen 5 as it was. So I just don't understand why they did that. And basically what I wanted this video to turn into is I would really, really appreciate it if Game Freak would at least consider retconning how these Pokemon evolve. Either make it so that they evolve on a much lower level, or have some kind of alternate evolution, like, I don't know, have Bisharp evolve with a metal coat, or have Xylus evolve by learning double hit or something. Like, they've done that before. That way, if you evolve Dino up through level 50, I mean, I don't like that, but if you have to keep it that way, have him up through level 50, and then, have him learn double hit when he evolves, which he already does, and then if he uses that in battle and levels up again, level 51, he'll evolve. That's not too bad. Or have Braviary and Mandibuzz evolve through trade or something. Just have like some kind of alternate or lower the level of these Pokemon to evolve to actually make them useful. Because I would really appreciate being able to use a Volcarona in this game, but I just feel like I can't because it's such a high level. If I could get a if I could get a Larvesta, like somewhat early on in the game, like the second island, level it up a little bit, have it learn Bug Buzz and some other moves like that, and then use a Firestone on it, I would highly consider, actually training this Larvesta. But as it is right now, I am not willing to train this thing up to level 59 just for it to not even end up being useful in the end. So, yeah, what do you guys think of all this? Do you guys think that these levels are fair? Do you think that there needs to be some kind of change done? Do you think it would just mess up the balance if they changed anything? If that's the case, like, what do you think they should do? Leave comments down below. I'd like to have a discussion about this, since this is something that's been bothering me for, 5+ years now, ever since Generation 5 came out. So, yeah. And with that, I'll see you next time. See ya.